Hi, my name is Paul Doherty and I'm a filmmaker from the northeast of England. I've been making films for around seven years now, I would say. Got into filmmaking slightly later, I guess, in life than maybe some people have done. For me, it was much later, in my sort of late 20s, was really when I really discovered that this was something I could actually do and that I was able to pursue it. It started by going back to university to study a course, a media production course, basically, which involved making like short narrative films, documentaries, and things like that. It was through that I actually made my first sort of film project, I guess, which was this like a 20-minute short called Death Strikes at Midnight, which was like a sort of a psychological thriller, very heavily indebted to the Italian giallo films of the 70s. I mean, looking back on the film now, it's a bit of a mess. It's incredibly exposition heavy in a couple of scenes, and it really needed a new, another draft of the script, at least. Another few drafts, I would probably argue. But it was an incredible learning experience, and it was the first time I actually had sort of really actually directed something myself. When I started the course, I went into it wanting to be an editor, really. Because editing is obviously an integral part of the the filmmaking process. But when I was directing my first short, it really made me want to have more sort of control and oversee the entire process of storytelling and telling the story completely using all of the components of filmmaking that you have at your disposal. And that was when I really decided it was more for writing and directing was more that was more the sort of field in which I wanted to focus, although I do tend to cut all of my own stuff as well. After I'd finished my course, I basically just sort of made a lot of short films for about maybe 5 years after that. I think we must have made maybe 12. I think we made around 12 short films in that time, with a good friend I met on the course, but also with people that we just generally knew in the local area. They were of varying quality, shall we say, and in different genres, some horror, some sort of comedy, science fiction. So I think just sort of cutting your teeth by making just kind of terrible short films is a really crucial part of learning to become a filmmaker, really. A couple of ones that ended up on Tony Newton's Grindsploitation series as well, streaming on Troma now, which was kind of cool because I'm a huge fan of Lloyd Kaufman and Troma, so it was nice to actually have something that was available on his platform. After that, I basically got involved with Dead Real Films. Now, this was at the beginning of 2019. I got an email from a guy called Wayne Thompson, who I had worked with me on a couple of short films that I'd made. He did special makeup effects and had acted as well. And he was basically telling me that he was putting together a production company, which was going to be like a collective of like horror filmmakers and horror film fans who were all going to come together to create horror content. And he asked if I wanted to be involved. Naturally, I jumped at the chance because this was at a time where a lot of the people with whom I used to be making films with had kind of moved away or weren't really around anymore. So I was a little bit lost in terms of having that like filmmaking family, which is always so important. And we've been making, we've made a few shorts together so far. The main thing that we're all working on at the minute is raising money and funding for a feature film that is going to be our debut feature. It's a film called Fright Seekers.
Hi guys, Ellie here. I've got some amazing news. We've finally got the go-ahead to investigate the abandoned Halloween home park at Briars Hill. Look at this. We've got a camera crew coming with us too, so hopefully we get some proof of paranormal phenomena. And we make it out alive.
We shot a proof of concept trailer for this, which we've been using as part of our pitch package to go around and seek an investment. Because the film itself takes place in a haunted scare park, we're really looking for collaboration with other people who run scare parks, so we can use locations. We did screen the trailer at ScareCon 2019, which is a convention for the sort of scare park industry, and the trailer was really well received there and got a lot of feedback, which was really, really helpful. The thing that's so good about Dead Real is that everybody has specific and unique skill sets. So you'll have some people who have made like lots of short films and no directing, in and out. You'll have some people who are more just focused on the writing side of it, or more on the technical camera side of it as well. So it's great that we have all of these different skills and abilities that we can pool together to create our own films. In terms of advice that I'd want to give to people who are looking to, get into the film industry or to become filmmakers, I mean, the usual advice that people always give is, just make films, go out there, make films. Everyone has a phone in their pocket and, with their camera, with their iPhone or whatever, and editing software is free and, they're available these days. So, yeah, that's, it's easier now than ever. The resources are there. We're living in a time where like Hollywood feature films are made on like prosumer cameras that only cost a few £1,000s, or feature films even get made on iPhones and get distribution. So I mean, that's all just to be sort of assumed, really, I think, as far as advice goes. Personally, I would say do look at a lot of like 48-hour film challenges. I think are a really good way of honing your ability. You basically end up creating something over the course of a weekend. It's incredibly high pressure. You're working to an incredibly tight deadline, having to make quick thinking decisions on the fly, which is very much what filmmaking is. It's all that problem solving, and you're really just thrown into the deep of it. I think they're really good fun. They're a really good bonding experience for people who are like-minded with regards to that. And I think you can learn a lot. The other advice I would give just to filmmakers is to, it sounds really silly, but just screen your films to people. Like, let people watch your films. Like, so many people just seem to make films and put the shorts out, put them on YouTube, and just kind of leave it at that, or submit them to film festivals where they'll never actually see it screened to an audience, either because it's a foreign festival or because the festivals themselves don't actually hold screenings. Look at your local film community for like film screening nights and things like that, where you can turn up and show your film and watch how it plays to an audience and take feedback. Because what you think might work in terms of the storytelling and conveying that information across might not actually be getting there to the audience. And what you think might work might not be interpreted by the audience in the same way. I know people deride like Hollywood test screenings and they're always seen as ruining films, but I mean, there's a lot to be said for actually just seeing how an audience relates and reacts to your work, and whether or not you're actually doing the best sort of possible job of telling a story. It's helpful to see what works and what doesn't work, and also, speaking on a personal level as well, there's no bigger rush or thrill than watching like somebody laugh at a moment that you've written or directed, to make them laugh, or to jump at a sort of scary moment and also look at every opportunity and every film that you make as like a stepping stone to something bigger. So yeah, you might make your first like feature on like a crappy little camera, but then somebody might see that film and then decide to actually invest something a bit more in you. There are always 101 reasons to not actually do something. So I think it's really important to go out there and support your local filmmaking community and support people and support independent film and independent cinema, and also follow Dead Real Films on all of the relevant social media that we have there.